All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream. Now, today is special again. We're doing two live streams in this week. We did one yesterday, and we're doing another one today. And the reason why is because, well, we have the SAT tomorrow. And so, for all you students who have been jumping in and watching my videos, my weekly live streams on the SAT, mostly for the Khan Academy math sections, I wanted to make sure to get one more in today so you guys can get the most out of this week and get the most preparation. And plus, we're not only going to go over the calculator section today of test 5, but we're also going to be talking about some tips and strategies and things like that that I want you to remember for the rest of today and also for tomorrow morning, the day of the test. So let's get into it right now. We're going to jump into test number 5. You guys are just getting home from school or getting ready to wind down. You can just sort of watch and go along with me and try and solve the problems as I do, or just kind of watch and see how I solve everything. All right, so let's go over here. I got it all set up, and we're just going to make sure, I'm pretty sure we're all good to go on the live stream. What I like to do a lot of times, I like to make sure we've got things running. We got to make sure the sound's working because I've had a few times where the sound has not been working, so I want to make absolutely certain that we are good to go here. And it looks like the live stream is rolling, and it looks like, let me just make sure here. Hold on. This thing is off. Let's shut this off. Okay. It looks like the live stream. Yep. All right. Cool. So sound is coming through. We are all good. Let's get to it. Again, my little pen thing here has been acting a little glitchy, so it is what it is. Will still work, no problem. Just to keep aware, every now and then we'll have some glitches. Let's clear the board. Cool thing is, I am seeing these. I know I've looked at test 5 before with some of my students, so I've looked at some of these problems, but for the most part, I'm going to be seeing these problems for the first time, which is always part of the fun. 38 questions, 55 minutes in total. Without further ado, let's get started. All right. Here we go. Question 1. According to the line graph above, between which two consecutive years was there the greatest change in the number of 3D movies released? Here it is right here, right? You can see this is the greatest vertical jump. Here's the second greatest. So we've got from 2010 to 2011. And we don't even need to say anything other than that. Next question. Some values of the linear function f are shown in the table above. Which of the following defines f? Now, that just means that which one of these functions, if we plug in x, do we get this value? If we plug in 1, yeah, we get 5. Plug in 3, do we get 13? No. Boom, a is out. B, if we plug in 1, yeah, we get 5. If we plug in 3, do we get 13? No. B is out. C, plug in 1, we get 5. If we plug in 3, do we get 13? Yes. Do we plug in 5, we get 21? Yes, right? Because 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. This is our winner. Next. To make a bakery signature chocolate muffins, a baker needs 2.5 ounces of chocolate for each muffin. How many pounds of chocolate are needed to make 48 signature muffins? So it says signature muffins, baker needs 2.5 for each muffin. So, and then how many pounds of chocolate are needed? So now we're going from ounces to pounds, right? First, let's just figure out how many ounces are needed. So we do, whoops, see it's glitching again. It's basically going to be 48 times 2.5, and that'll give us the number of ounces. And actually, I can do this. 96 plus 24 is 120. So we need 120 ounces, but now we want to convert that to pounds. Let's just not even mess around. Let's do this. We got to divide by 16, right? And it's 7.5. All right, next question. Oops, again. All right, so 3 times c plus d equals 5. What is the value of c plus d? I'll tell you what. Basically, we can just consider 3 plus d as like an x. Oops, as like an x value, right? Because it's just 3 times x equals 5. 3 times x equals 5. We want to divide by 3, and solve for x, which is c plus d, and it's 5 over 3. All right, next. Let's see if it works better here. No, it doesn't. All right, next. The weight of an object on Venus is approximately 9/10 its weight on Earth, so pretty close. And the weight of an object on Jupiter is 23rd tenths of its weight on Earth. If an object weighs 100 pounds on Earth, approximately how many more pounds does it weigh on Jupiter than it weighs on Venus? So what does it weigh on Jupiter? We do this multiplication, and that's 230 pounds on Jupiter. And what does it weigh on Venus? It's 9/10 times 100, right? This goes away and this becomes 90. So how many more pounds? It weighs 140 pounds. That's the difference between 90 to 230. Next question. An online bookstore sells novels and magazines. Each novel sells for $4. That's a novel. Each magazine sells for $1. If Sadie purchased a total of 11 novels, that's $44. 11 novels and magazines. This is a system of equations. So novels plus magazines equals 11. They have a combined selling price of 20. That means 4n. Now we're bringing in the money. 4n plus m times 1, because, right, 1m, that's the price of each one, equals 20. Now we got our system of equations. How many novels did she purchase? We're trying to solve for n. So let's go ahead and combine these. I'm going to make this all negative up top. And this is really nice because when we combine these guys in elimination, 20 plus negative 11 is 9. Negative m, these guys cancel out. And 4n minus n is 3n. 3n equals 9. Therefore, n equals 3, right? Divide both sides by 3, and we get 3. We can plug it in and make sure that works, right? 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 8 times 1 is 8. 8 plus 12, 20. And we're good. It works. The Downtown Business Association in certain city plans to increase its membership by total number of N businesses per year. There were B businesses in the DBA at the beginning. So D is our constant. That's just what our constant is. And which function best models the total number of increases Y in the DBA plans to have X years from now. And they're just saying every year we're increasing by N. This is a straight linear function. We're starting at B, right? And then we're going up by whatever that slope is, N. So each year, if this is 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, right? The change up will be N. Change up will be N. So we should have Y equals NX plus B, which is right here. That's it. Okay. Which of the following is equivalent to this guy? All right, let's straight up just combine the like terms. 1.5x minus 2.4. Oh, this is a little more complicated. Yikes. Minus, and let's distribute that minus. Let's just make that easy. 5.2x squared plus 6.4 becomes positive. And then then we've got 1.5x, so we're going to square this. So this gets a little dicey here, right? But let's go ahead and do that. You know what? We can shortcut this a little bit. So 1.5x times 1.5x. What's 1.5? I think it's 2.25, right? Double check that with the calculator. 1.5 times 1.5. All right, so it's 2.25x squared. The bottom line is, how am I going to shortcut this? I know that this is going to be the only x squared term. Negative 5.2x squared is the only x squared term over there. So this is 0. Let's just do a subtraction really quickly. 10 is 5, 4, 11. So it's 9. So 4.95. So we should, I'm sorry, not 4.5, 2.95. So we need to have 2.95x squared, and it's going to be negative because this guy is the negative, bigger. So A and B are gone. Now the only question is the final term. See, we don't even have to evaluate this. We know this has got to be right because they're both the same. It's the only question is, what is this final term? Is it 12.16 or 0.64? Well, let's see. We got a positive 0.64, and then here we got a negative 2.4 that's going to be squared because this is our last term. And if we write it out, it's 1.5x minus 2.4 times 1.5x minus 2.4. And this will give us our final term, that multiplication. So 2.4, you can already see it's got to be 12.16, right? 2.4 times 2.4 equals 5.76. So 5.76 plus this guy is 6, 11, and 12.16. So C is our answer. In 1908 Olympic Games, the Olympic marathon was lengthened from 40 to 42. Of the following, which is the closest to the increase in the distance of the Olympic marathon in miles? So it's a 2 kilometer increase in miles. 2 kilometers is equal to x miles versus 1.6 kilometers is equal to 1 miles. And cross multiply. 1.6x equals 2 divided by 1.6 2 divided by 1.6 equals 1.25 right here. And that makes sense, right? It should be a little bit more than a mile. Okay. The density of an object is found by dividing mass of an object by its volume. Which of the following equations gives the mass in terms of d and v? All we gotta do is isolate m, multiply v by both sides, or I like to shoot it over when it's on the bottom and just look at it that way. M equals d times v. And that's it. Variable isolation. Next, negative 2x plus 3y equals 6. Which of the following equations are perpendicular to the graph above? We need to know the slope, and then the perpendicular slope has the negative reciprocal. So add 2x to both sides, 3y equals 2x plus 6 divided by 3. But all we care about is this slope. So if the slope of this is 2/3, the perpendicular line has a slope of negative 3/2. It's the negative reciprocal. Which one of these guys has a negative 3/2 slope? Well, this guy, if we subtract 3 on the other, it's A, because I'll show you right now. If we subtract 3x, we get 2y equals negative 3x plus 6. And we divide by 2. Look at that. There's your slope. We don't care about the constant. It doesn't matter. But A is our answer. All right. Next. Oops. We got a system of equations. What is the value of x? Let's plug and chug, right? We're just going to substitute in for... Wait, let me think of this for a second. Yeah, we actually know what y is. Y has to be 8, right? 1/2 of what equals 4? 1/2 of 8. So y equals 8. Let's plug 8 into the bottom part. X minus 1/2 of 8 equals 2. X minus 1/2 of 8 is 4 equals 2 plus 4 plus 4. X equals 6. Next question. Come on, whiteboard. All right, so which of the following ordered pairs satisfies the system of inequalities above? Now, we could do a little plugging and chugging here. Let me think about this for a second. What would we do that's the fastest? I'm gonna try to plug in, do a little plug and chug. Let's see. So negative 2 to negative 1. So negative 2 is negative 6, negative 5, negative 1 is not less. So A is immediately out. Negative 1, negative 3. So it's 2 is less than or equal to, it's greater than or equal to 3. This one's out. Boom. What about 1, 5? 1, 3 plus is 4, and 5 is on this side. 5 is not less than, none of these work. What's going on? Negative 1 is negative 3. Negative 2 is great. Oh, okay, so I just went down the line and none. No, wait, did I do this right? Oh, I think I'm plugging it in backwards. Hold on. Let's try it again. Negative 6, negative 5, negative 1. So A is definitely gone. Kind of doing this mentally, but hopefully you're following what I'm doing. Then negative 1 into this side is negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. And 3 is on this side. That's definitely wrong. C, we plug a 1 in here. 3x. 3 plus 1 is 4. 5 on this side. That's definitely on. It's got to be D. But D is you plug 2 in, 6. That's 7 is greater than or equal to negative 1. And then down here, we've got 2 minus negative 1 is 3. And that's greater than 1. So this works. I got a little confused there for a second. Let's look at this guy. In a survey of 607 general surgeons and orthopedic surgeons indicated their major professional activity. The results are summarized in the table. If one of the surgeons is selected at random, which of the following is close to the probability the selected? If one of the surgeons is selected, and these are all surgeons, that the selected surgeon, orthopedic surgeon whose indicated professional activity is research, orthopedic research, it's just 74 out of 607. Okay. 74 divided by 607, got to use that calculator here. 74 divided by 607 equals 0.122. This guy, if we round up, right? Let's just make sure nothing is, yep. All right, good. Let me just see one thing. Did I do that? The results are, if one surgeon is selected, yeah, it's just a surgeon at random. Just making sure that baseline number is right. A polling agency recently surveyed 1,000 adults who were selected at random from a large city and asked each of the adults, are you satisfied with the quality of air in the city? Of those surveyed, 78% responded that they were satisfied with the quality of the air in the city. So 78% said yes, satisfied. Satisfied. Okay, and based on the results of the survey, which of the following statements must be true? 1. Okay. Of all adults in the city, 78% are satisfied. I don't think that has to be true. We're saying with this survey, it's not necessarily true. We can't say for sure. So I'm going to say this is not good. What about 2? If another 1,000 adults selected at random from the city, so 78% would report they are satisfied. I mean, I don't know if we can say that must be true, right? It's that could be true. All right, and let's look at number 3. If 1,000 adults selected at random from a different city were surveyed, 78% of them would report they are sad. No, well, there's no way to know that. I'm going with none. We'll see if that's right. I kind of just going to roll with it, but that's my feeling. None of those have to be true. Okay, so one method of calculating the approximate age in years of a tree of a particular species is to multiply the diameter of the tree in inches by a constant called the growth factor. So here's our growth factors. So if we had a diameter of like 2 or something, and we multiply it by pin oak, it would be 6 years old. The table above gives the growth factors for 8 species of trees. Let's look at these questions. We got 2. According to the information in the table, what is the approximate age of an American elm tree with a diameter of 12 inches? American elm 4, so it's 48. 4 times 12 is 48 years. The scatter plot left gives tree diameter plotted against age for 26 trees of a single species. The growth factor of this species is closest to that of which of the following species of trees? Tree diameter plotted against the age for 26 trees of a single growth factor. Okay, let's see. So what's happening here? At 12, it's about 80. Looks around 80 or something. So what times 12 is 8? It's about 7. So this is about a growth factor of 7 is my guess. Let's see, 14, and we're at 7. So we're about, yeah. So which one is 7? The closest is shagbark hickory. So that's what I'm going to go with. Rough approximation. If a white birch tree and a pink oak tree now have a diameter of 1 foot, which is 12 inches. Okay. So 12 inches. And the diameters, which of the following will be closest to the difference in inches of their diameters 10 years from now? Okay. So let's see here. So 12 inches, and every year, and we want in a foot, right? So every year they're going to grow. Let's see here. I think we can say that. Let me see if I can figure. So 10 years from now. So they're right now 1 foot. Well, let's see how many years old they are now. So 12 inches, and we got pin oak and white birch. So pin oak is 3. So pin oak is 3. So it's 36 years. And the other one is, let's see. What is it? White birch. Pin oak. And then white birch is 5. White birch is 5. 5 times 12 is 60. So we want to know at 70 years, it's an X number of inches times 5. And we want to know at 46 years is X number of, X, we're talking about diameter. X diameter, times a growth factor of 3. So 46 divided by 3 is 15.33. 15.3 over here. And this is 70 divided by 5. 70 divided by 5 equals 14. So this guy grew by 14. So they look how much what did they say? They want the difference. What's the difference in inches of their diameters 10 years from now? Well, 15.3 minus 14. It's about 1.3 or 1.333. So that's a hard question, but that's our answer. Okay. Woo, that was tough. Okay, so now we got this guy. How are we doing? 39 minutes. So we got a triangle. What is the length of AD? It doesn't say. I'm going to look at this. This looks like This looks like 60. I'm going to. This looks like a straight line. It doesn't say. I'm going to assume. It doesn't say figure not drawn to scale. So I'm going to assume these are both 30, 60, 90 triangles. 30, 60, 90 triangle. This means this is x. This is 2x, and this is x root 3. But all we want is this. We want AD, right? which is the same as DC. It looks to be cut right down the middle. I'm making some assumptions here. It is what it is. So the length of AD, it's got to be half of what this length is, and this length here is 12. So that means this length here has to be 6. And I think I can feel pretty good about that. This also looks like an equilateral triangle. That's another way to approach this problem. So it's just all these sides must be 12, and this is about half, which is 6. All right, next question. The figure above the left shows a wheel with a mark on its rim. The wheel is rolling on the ground at a constant rate along a straight path from a starting point to an ending point, right? The graph of y equals dt on the right could represent which of the following as a function of time from when the wheel began to roll. This looks, if it's going up and down, it's not distance. It looks like height, because it's starting at this height and then it's going down, 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 and then it's going to the bottom, and then it's going up, 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 right, as it turns. So I would say the distance of the mark from the ground. I'm going with D, the only one that makes sense. All right, next, in the equation above, if A is negative and B is positive, which of the following must be true? A is negative, B is positive. Let's assume A is like -2, and B is like 3. Well, what do we get in this example? This would be -5 over -2, which is 2.5. Okay. Oh, it's a positive number, whatever. So we're saying C is definitely not equal to 1, definitely not equal to negative. The equals are definitely out, because there's all sorts of answers we could get with this. B and A could be anything, as long as A is negative, B is positive. Definitely not less than -1, because we just did one example, and it's greater than 1. So I'm going to roll with that. 22. In State X, Mr. Camp's 8th grade class, consisting of 26 students, was surveyed, and 34.6% of the students reported they had at least 2 siblings. The average 8th grade class in size in the state is 26. If the students in Mr. Camp's class are representative of students in the state's 8th grade classes, and there are 1,800 8th grade classes in the state, which of the following best estimates the number of 8th grade students in the state who have fewer than 2 siblings? So 34.6% have at least 2. So we're talking 65.4 that are what we want. We need to multiply 1,800 by 26 first. So 1,800 by 26 gives us all the 8th graders. And then we need to take 65.4% of that, 0.654. And we get 30,600. That should be right. That should be right. 54, right? I think that's good. We can roll with that. Let's go to the next one. Okay. Now we've got, let me scroll over here. Let me mute my phone. Okay. Clearwater Lane, I don't know. The Townsend Realty Group invested in the 5 different properties listed in the table above. The table shows the amount in dollars the company paid for each property and the corresponding monthly rental price in dollars the company charges for the property at each of the 5 locations. All right. So purchase price and monthly rental. Cool. There's 2 questions on this. The relationship between the monthly rental price in dollars and property's purchase price in thousands of dollars. Is this in thousands of dollars? Yeah. Can be represented by a linear function. Which of the following functions represents the relationship? Okay, so rental price equals 128. Let's do it like this. All right, we can solve it quickly because we're talking about a slope here, right? So 128, so 950 divided by 128 is... So what I'm doing is, look, so I'm just looking at this first example as a possibility. So the rental price is 950 and the purchase price is 128 in thousands times P minus 870 and I'm sorry, times 2.5, excuse me. That is the P. And does this work? I don't know. Let's try. It doesn't look like it works. Definitely won't work. This is too small. A is out. What about B? 950 equals 5 times 128. What's 5 times 128? Oops. Oh boy, I did this totally wrong. 5 times 128 equals plus 165. So that one doesn't work. 6.5. I can tell this one's going to be too big. Let's try 7.5. 7.5 times 128 equals minus 10. All right, D is our winner. Because none of these work for even just that one property. It has to be D. Townsend Realty purchased the Glenview Street property and received a 40% discount off the original price, along with an additional 20% off the discounted price. So 40% off the original price and then another 20% off the discounted price, which is the following best approximates the original price of Glenview. So the original price, so it's 140. So the original price of Glenview, we'll call it as X, right? So we'll say X, so they got 40%. So they paid 60%, and then of that, they got another 20% off. So which is 80%. So we got this equals 140,000. And now we just solve 0.48x equals 140, and then 140, let's see, 140 divided by 0.48. 0.48 equals 291 whatever. It's this one, it's B. So it's about that. And we could redo this, right? We could go through the motions again and say, multiply this, what's a 40% discount, then what's a 20% discount, and we should get back to that 140 value. But I'm pretty confident, so I'm going to roll with that. Let's take it to question number 25. So 25, it says a psychologist set up an experiment to study the tendency of a person to select the first item when presented a series of items. In the experiment, 300 people were presented with a set of 5 pictures arranged in random order. Each person was asked to choose the most appealing picture. Of the 150 first participants, 36 chose the first one. Among the remaining 150, P people chose the first one. If more than 20% of all participants, 20% of all participants is 60, chose the first picture in the set, so more than this, which of the following describes the possible values of P? So 20% shows this, and what is the number? But the number that chose the first set is the sum of these guys. It's P plus 36. Has to be greater than, and we would evaluate the 60, but this is 60 normally, but they don't in these answers, and we would just go with D. And this P is less than or equal to 150 doesn't even matter because it's the same for all, so you don't even have to think about it. All right, let's go to the next problem. This is actually a very good time. 30. Oh no, it's decent time. It's decent time. All right, the surface area of a cube is this. So we got a cube, right? What is surface area? It's the area of all of the faces added up. How many faces are there of a cube? There are 6. So what does this tell you? Look, they're being really nice. They're saying 6 times this value, which means that if 6 times that means that a squared, a to over 4 squared, must be the area of just one face, right? Of each individual face, because you multiply it by 6, you get the surface area of the whole thing. So this is the area of this guy. But now read it carefully. They want the perimeter of the face of one of these guys. So we want the perimeter. Well, how do we get the area of a cube? Isn't it just side length squared? Of a square. So guess what? This must be the length of a side. A to the 4th, a to the 4th. Because that squared would give you this. Well, if we want the perimeter, we just take all these side lengths and add them up. A to the 4th, a to the 4th, a to the 4th, a to the 4th. That becomes 4a over 4, which is just a. So a is our answer, and we're moving on. All right, next problem. Here we go. Righty. The mean score of 8 players in a basketball game was 14.5 points. If the highest individual score is removed, the mean score of the remaining 7, it becomes 12 points. Why am I writing it like this? This is how we calculate mean, right? We basically take the total points and we divide by 7 and we get 12. But before, what was the mean score? What was the total up here? Like, how do we fit this all together? All right, first things first. Let's calculate the original total. We had 8 players at a mean of 14.5. Let's do the multiplication. I'll try to do it in my head. 80, 32 is 112 plus 4 is 116. So it was originally 116. Okay, but now we're removing the highest score, and we want to find the highest score. We're taking 116 and we're removing him, but we don't know what he is. That's our variable. And now we got our equation. You solve this and you'll get your answer. Multiply both sides by 7. We get 116 minus x equals 84. Subtract both sides by 116, right? And we get negative x equals negative 32. Divide both sides by -1, and the highest score was 32. All right, next. Next one, we've got this guy. All right, the graph of the linear function f is shown in the xy plane. The slope of the graph of the linear function g is 4 times the slope of this guy. What's the slope of this guy? It goes up by 1 over 2. So slope of that guy is 1/2. It looks like 1, 2. And then the slope of this is, g is 4 times 1/2, which equals 2. So g of x equals 2x plus some constant, right? I'm just doing y equals mx plus b. If the graph of g passes through the point 0, -4. All right, now that means this is our y-intercept, 0, -4. So we can now get this full function here, 2x minus 4. And what is the value of g of 9? Just plug 9 in. So 2 times 9 is 18 minus 4 equals 14. So that is our answer, C. All right, let's go to the next one here. We've got this guy. This is defines a circle in the xy plane. What are the coordinates of the center of the circle? Do you know? You got to know how to do this. We need to complete the square twice. It's a hard problem because the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals -20. All right, so that means we need to get perfect squares. So a long problem. Let's say x squared plus 20x plus the half of this squared plus 100. All right. So this is one part plus, and then we got to take the y squared plus 16y. Then we take half of 16, which is 8, and square that, which is 64. This is the other part. But on the opposite side, we got to subtract -164. We got to subtract 100 and 64. So -164, we're going to subtract on this side. We get -184. And now we got nice perfect squares here. This doesn't matter so much because whatever we've got, it doesn't matter. They're not asking those for the radius. But let's now make these guys into nice perfect squares. So this is just x plus 10 squared. We know that because it's this square. I mean, that's how we set it up. It's the square root of this, which is 10. X plus 10 squared will give us this, plus y plus 8 squared. And this gives us this. What's the coordinate of the center? It's -10, -8. Because remember, this center would be hk for the main formula up here. So it's minus h minus k, positive h, positive k, plus 10, plus 8, -10, -8. So you got a center at -10, -8. All right, 30, and this is the last of the multiple choice, then the free response will get easier. In the equation above, a is a positive constant, and the graph of the equation in the xy plane is a parabola. Which of the following is an equivalent form of the equation? X squared minus a, and what have they done here? This is definitely not, because if we FOIL this, this doesn't give us minus a. It gives us all sorts of random stuff. This is getting closer. Yeah, because this is a difference of squares. I get it. It's a difference of squares. So they're just factoring it. And a difference of squares, you put the square root of that guy, of the first term there, square root of the second term there. One's plus, one's minus. So it's A. All right, good. Let's go to the next one. Now these should be easier, right? So remember that. Jump to the free response if you're having some trouble on the multiple choice. The first few are going to be way easier. Horsepower and watts are units of measure. They're directly proportional such that 5 equals 3730. How much power in watts is equal to 2? Let's just set up ratio, right? We want to find the watts here that is equivalent to 2. So 5 is equivalent to 3730. 2 is equivalent to x. We don't know. Well, let's cross multiply. So 5x equals 7460, right? 7460. And then divide both sides by 5. Let's use a calculator for that. 7460. 7460 divided by 5 equals 1492. 1492. Okay, 1492. Cool. Next, the painting Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh is rectangular in shape with height 29 inches and width 36.25 inches. 29. Oops. 29 and 36.25. If a reproduction was made where each dimension is 1/3 the corresponding original dimension, what is the height of the reproduction? It's just 1/3, right? So 1/3 of the height, what's 1/3 of 29? It's not going to be exact. 5/3 equals times 29 equals 9 and 2/3. Wait, that's a 29 over 3. Do we want that as a... Oh, they want this maybe as an improper fraction, I guess. That just seems too quick. Let me make sure I read that right. There's a rectangular shape 29 and 36. If a reproduction is made where each dimension was 1/3 the corresponding dimension, what is the height of the reproduction? So it's 1/3 of that. So it's 29 over 3, I guess. Yeah. I'm going with that. Let's see if hopefully that's right. All right, next one is this guy. X minus 1, x 3x minus 7. On PS above, PQ equals RS. This means x minus 1 equals 3x minus 7. QR is just, oh no, we want PS, the whole thing. First, let's solve for x. So we'll add 1 to both sides, subtract 3x, subtract 3x. This goes away, this goes away. Negative 2x equals negative 6, right? Negative 7 and 1. Divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, x equals 3. So if x equals 3, this is 2 plus 3, 2 plus 3 plus 9 minus 7 is 2, 2, 3, 7. So the length of this whole thing is 7. Next, in the xy plane, the point 25 lies in the graph. The function, if f of x equals k minus x squared, k is a constant, was the value? Let's just plug and chug. We got a coordinate 2, 5, right? So 5 is the y value equals 2 is the x value. All right, 5 equals k minus 4 plus 4 plus 4. K equals 9. All right, that's not too bad either. 35. A landscaper is designing a rectangular garden. The length of the garden is to be 5 feet longer than the width. So if the width is here, the length is width plus 5. If the area of the garden will be 104 square feet, what will be the length in feet of the garden? Okay, so we need to find W plus 5. So area is W times W plus 5 equals 104. This gives us W squared plus 5W equal 104. Guess what? It's a quadratic equation. So we're going to set everything equal to 0 and see if we can factor or use quadratic formula. And I'm going to assume we can factor. So times 104 and a difference of 5. Let's see, difference of 5. We could do, got it. All right. We can do 8 and 13. And because the 5 is positive, this is negative. 8 times 13 is 104. So our answers are positive 8, negative 13. Both of these are legit, but we want a value for length, so it has to be a positive value. This negative 13 doesn't make any sense. So it's 8. So the width is 8, but it wants the length, which is 8 plus 5, which equals 13. Alrighty, a geometry problem. Point P is the center of the circle. What is the value of x? Alright, here's a little theorem for you to remember. Maybe don't, I don't know. Maybe don't need it, but let's see. Oops. Alright, not the greatest. If we have something coming from the center and something coming from the back edge, and they both intersect these same 2 points, that means that this angle over here is half of x. So this is half of x, this is x, and that's fine. This is 20, this is 20. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little creative, and I'm going to make a triangle, 2 triangles actually, down here. Let's see. And I'm going to call this angle in here y and y. And I'm going to set up some equations. All right, so let's do it like this. We know that all the angles and triangles add up to 180. So we know that this out here is one triangle, right? Then we got that other inside triangle, of course. So we could say x over 2 plus y plus 20 plus y plus 20 again. So 2 of those equals 180. That's for the big one. We also know, see, we can do this because we got everything in terms of x and y. We can set up another equation where x plus y, or 2y equals 180. We got a system of equations. Boom. Now all we have to do is solve for x. So I'm going to do substitution. I'm going to isolate for x. Oops. X equals 180 minus 2y. And I'm going to plug this in up here. So 180. Oh wait, I want to solve for x. I did this backwards. I want to undo that. I'm going to actually isolate for y, right? So we'll say 2y equals 180 minus x. I'm actually leave it like this because if we look at this equation, we're going to get a 2y. So this becomes x over 2 plus 2y plus 40 equals 180. Now I'm going to plug this in over here. So we got x over 2 plus 180 minus x, right? That gets rid of this guy, plus 40 equals 180. These guys are going to cancel out because the same thing on both sides. X over 2 minus x is negative x over 2 plus 40 equals 0. I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides. Negative x over 2 equals negative 40. Multiply both sides by negative 2. Negative 2. And we get x equals 80. And that's it. So x equals 80. This one equals 40. It makes sense, right? Like if this is 80, this has to be 50-50. And then this would be 70-70, and that has to be 40. So it all works out. So x is 80. Let's go to the next problem here. And it looks like 37 and 38, so same question. Miss Simon drives her car from home to her workplace every weekday morning. The table above shows the distance in miles and her average driving speed, right? Distance, they're going that speed. And there is no traffic delay for each segment of her drive. One morning, Miss Simon drove directly from home to her workplace in 24 minutes. What was her average speed in miles per hour? Miles per hour during that drive. So let's take a look here. So how many miles did she go total? We got to add these up. This is 17.4. So she's gone 17.4 miles. All right. In how many minutes? In 24 minutes. But we don't want to divide by 24 because we want miles per hour. So we want to divide by whatever that is in terms of hours. So 24 divided by 60, right? 60 minutes. We're converting to hours as 0.4. So 17.4 divided by 0.4 equals 17.4 divided by 0.4 equals what? 43.5. All right. So we say, what was her average driving speed in miles per hour? 43.5 minutes, or miles per hour, I guess. And it doesn't want that's good. All right. If Miss Simon starts her drive at 6:30, she can drive at her average driving speed with no traffic for each segment of the drive. If she starts at 7, the travel time for the freeway entrance to the freeway exit, which is this guy, 15.4 miles, increases by 33% the time, but everything else stays the same. Based on the table, how many more minutes does Miss Simon take to arrive at her workplace if she starts at 7 versus if she starts at 6:30? So we don't care about these two, only this one changes. So let's think about it. What's her travel time, first of all? Well, how do we let's figure out our equation here. Distance equals rate times time, right? So distance equals rate times time. We want to know her travel time. So then we divide both sides by r, divide both sides by r. So time equals distance over rate, right? So if we want to know the time, we would say the distance, which is 15.4 divided by 50. This will be in hours, by the way. And that equals the time normally. So 15.4 divided by 50 equals 0.308. So 0.308. But then we're increasing it by 33%. So we multiply this by, Actually, we just take 33% of this. Multiply this by 0.33 times 0.33 equals 0.10164. 0.10164. So that's the difference. It's going to be, let's make sure we did this right. The 15.4 divided by, right, we're going 50. So 15.4 divided by 50, and we've got that, and then we do 33, hold on, let me just make sure this is right. Yeah, another 33% of this. This looks right. And then but then we want to the nearest minute. So this is in hours. Now we got to multiply this by 60, right? Because it's hours to minutes, multiply by 60. And we get 6.0984. So 6.0984. But they said round to the nearest minute, so we just, goodbye, and we just round to 6. So we've gone through this lightning fast. There's still 12 minutes remaining, and again, part of that is due because some of these problems I do remember and I have seen. I think it would have taken me a little longer if I'd been seeing all of these fresh. But anyways, let's make sure we didn't make any mistakes. I'm gonna go ahead and enter this and see how we did. All right. So, and I would have done this earlier today. I apologize for the delay. I actually am under the weather right now. And so I've been sleeping all day, and now we are able to go through this stuff. Okay, so 1 is incorrect, so I made a mistake somewhere. Let's see where that is. I thought I got all of these right. Okay, these look good. Whoops. Is that one right? Yep, these are right. Right. Incorrect, 30. What did I say? I thought I selected B. Okay. Well, this is the one where I told you it was going to be, I made a mistake there. It's a difference of squares, and I said it's x, and this has got to be square root a, this has got to be square root a plus minus. All right, well, there's a perfect lesson because I had the right answer, and then you put the wrong one in. So just make sure to do your due diligence. Make sure this definitely doesn't happen to you on test day, and be a little bit careful with your answers. All right, now, we're done with the test. We're done with test 5. Let's talk about what you're going to do for the rest of today. Hopefully you watch this, and this will be the last bit of studying that you do tonight. Now I want you to take it easy, or maybe take it easy in the next half an hour. Definitely, I'm speaking mostly to my West Coast people because it's 5:30 right now. So now you're going to take a break and go do something fun and relaxing. Go eat a healthy dinner. And by healthy, I mean reduce the amount of simple carbohydrates. So you want to cut out things like rice, pasta, bread, all that stuff. Instead, get some nice protein, good, lean, like chicken or salmon. Salads are always good. No sugary craziness if you can avoid it. But make sure to have a good meal where you're nice and full. Then do something relaxing. You can read a book. That's fun. You can watch a movie. Maybe not one that's super exciting and crazy, but one that's just relaxing. Hang out with your family, your friends, whatever. And then be in bed by about 9 o'clock. All right, next morning, you're going to wake up, same thing, you're going to shoot for a super healthy breakfast. Good things would be eggs, preferably boiled because you cut out the oil. You can have some whole oats. If you're going to have oatmeal, like steel chopped oatmeal, usually because it's like the bigger oats, it takes longer to digest. It'll be good for you, slower digestion. You can have some fruit. Again, same principle. No pancakes, no waffles, nothing super sweet. That's going to give you a spike and then a crash. So terrible idea. Cut the sugar down as much as possible. I always think eggs good, yogurt's good, stuff like that. What are you going to bring? Of course, you're going to bring your calculator with fresh batteries. I always take 3 sharpened pencils with me. Bring your certificate that you need with your photo on it and everything. Bring your identification. And bring a watch that doesn't make any noise. All right? Something that you can keep a little bit track of time. It varies from test center to test center. Some keep track of time great, and they give you announcements and all that stuff, and it's wonderful. Some don't. So I would just be cautious and bring something that you can watch the time on and see how you're doing, check your progress, etc. The big tip is look at the problems that we got here, right? You've done your homework, you've researched everything, you've done your review, but there's a very important trend. You notice, this is the biggest one that I tell people, you notice that the free response, they get easier, right, on both math sections. So don't bang your head against the wall on the calculator section on like 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. If you're feeling some struggle and resistance and it's taking you time, jump ahead to 31, 32, 33, 34. Knock those out. Then you can go back, or then you can stay on the free response, whatever. But at least make sure you're getting those 4 problems, 5 problems done, because there's going to be a steep drop off in difficulty. You want to make sure to get those points. Those are super valuable. You don't want to be rushing on those easier questions. Get to the test center super early. You want to make sure that, I'd say, a nice 20 to 30 minutes before you're even supposed to register. That way you're not rushing. And again, if you show up late, your adrenaline's going to be spiked. You're running in the door. And yes, then you get a big sense of relief when you get in, you check in, you get to your table. And then that means a drop, a crash in energy. That's no good. So you definitely don't want that. Get there nice and early. Don't have to worry about anything. That's it, guys. So I hope all these videos have been helpful for you guys who are taking the SAT tomorrow. I wish you all the best of luck. Please comment if you have any comments. Like this video, of course, please, if you like it. That would be great and helps the channel a lot. And definitely subscribe if you want more math and education videos to come straight to you. So thank you guys so much. Best of luck, and I'll see you all next time. Take it easy.